Y'all, I have a lot of thoughts about how the body doesn't keep the score, and I wrote them all down in a note. So I'm not going to be looking at you. I'm going to be looking at my notes, but I promise you're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot together. So a few weeks ago, this peer-reviewed paper was published in Frontiers in Systems Neuroscience. Now, that is a very respected neuroscience journal, and it has a very bold title if you can't see. It says, "The body does not keep the score." This was co-authored by these four neuroscientists, and interestingly enough, Carl Friston is one of the most cited neuroscientists in the world. Let's take a few minutes to talk about what the paper did not say. The paper did not say that the body doesn't matter. It did not say that body-based practices are useless, and it definitely did not say that people's pain is not real. What it did say was that the body doesn't store traumatic experiences, that the brain repredicts it. The body participates, but as a messenger, not as the archive. And that the path forward isn't about releasing something that's quote unquote trapped. It's about restoring your brain's flexibility, which is a very nuanced conversation, right? That's why I'm making this longer video, because Lord knows 30 to 60 seconds isn't going to be enough to go over this. But here's what happened when I went on social media and I started seeing this paper be shared around. I saw a lot of comments like, "My experience tells me trauma is stored in the body," or "Have you ever heard of the mind-body connection?" or "The brain is in the body," or "This is dangerous. This invalidates people's lived experiences," or my favorite, "It doesn't matter where it's stored, it's just semantics." There were so many big reactions, there were defensive reactions, and in a lot of cases, these reactions are from people who clearly didn't take the time to actually read the article. They just read the title or the first two paragraphs and then had a big emotional reaction to it. Now, I'm not saying that to judge them. I'm literally making this video because what just happened in the comment section is the most perfect real world demonstration of what this paper was saying and the neuroscience behind it. This is not the first time that this work has been put under a microscope. Let's rewind the clock back to 2017 and give my girl, Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, some very well-deserved credit. Dr. Barrett published her book in 2017. In this book, she says that your brain does not have pre-installed emotion buttons that get pushed. It builds your emotional experience in real time using three things: what's happening in your body, what's happening around you, and what concepts and beliefs you already have. Now, this last one, what concepts and beliefs you already have, that is what I like to call mental models. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm obsessed with mental models. Mental models are the frameworks that you use to make sense of yourself and the world. So here's what happened to those people in the comment sections. They have a mental model, a very deeply held belief that says trauma is stored in the body. And that belief is not random. For a lot of them, it came from this book that literally changed their life. Now, I have met so many people over the last 10 years who are literally obsessed with this book and so grateful for the impact that it made in their life. For a lot of them, it gave them permission to take their pain seriously, to take the time to actually listen to their body, and it gave them a framework that finally made their experience make sense to them. Now, that mental model became part of how they understand themselves. It became part of their identity. Then you have a study that comes along and challenges that mental model. Not their experience, the explanation of their experience. Their brain registers that as a threat, not as a physical threat. This is an identity level threat. But because when a belief that's become so ingrained in how you view yourself gets questioned, your brain treats that the same way it treats all other kinds of threats. It predicts a problem, the body responds. So your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your face gets hot, and the brain reads those body signals as, see, this is wrong, this is dangerous, you need to fight back. Now, you could make a pretty strong case that they did not choose their reaction. Their brain constructed that emotional experience automatically based on the mental model that was being challenged. And because most people do not I repeat, do not have the skills to notice that process in real time while it's happening. They respond from the emotion instead of look at it. Now, like I said, this irony is hard to miss, y'all. It's really hard to miss. The reaction, the inability to sit with the new information without the body going into overdrive, this is the exact dynamic that these four neuroscientists outlined in this paper. It's the exact one, y'all. It's a rigid prediction that cannot update, a brain that is locked into one interpretation because it doesn't have enough flexibility to consider any other option. Now, I am not making this video to call people out who are in these comment sections. I'm literally making this video to bring awareness because we all do this. You do this, I do it. The people in the comment section are doing it. Every single one of us has mental models that feel so true, so core to who we are and wrapped up in our identity that when something challenges them, our body reacts before our mind catches up. And in that moment, most of us do one of two things. We either defend the belief without examining it, or we shut down and avoid the new information entirely. Now, think about it in your own life. It doesn't have to be a study on social media that makes you question everything. It could be someone giving you feedback that doesn't match how you see yourself, or a relationship dynamic that shifts and it doesn't fit the story that you've been telling yourself. Or you learn something new that contradicts the idea that you've built decisions around, major life decisions, and invested a lot of money around. What happens in your body when something like that happens to you? Now, if you can't answer that question, if you go blank or jump straight to analyzing or immediately start building a case for why the other person is wrong, all of that is just information. That's your brain doing exactly what this research describes, predicting based on old models and treating the body's response as confirmation. Now, this is not a character flaw. Y'all, let me repeat that. That is not a character flaw. That is literally how our brains work. The question is whether you have the skills to catch this. And catching this requires three things. Now, these things are not abstract ideas. These are skills that everyone can build. The first is interoception. So interoception is your ability to notice what's happening in your body. Not interpret it, not analyze it, just notice before the story kicks in. Before your brain tells you what it means, you just need to sit with it. Can you feel the tightness? Can you feel the heat? Can you feel that dropping sensation? Can you stay with the raw signal for even just a few seconds before your mind takes over? The second is emotional granularity. Now, that's a fancy word for saying that you have enough emotion words or a large emotional vocabulary and enough felt understanding with the words that your brain has real options when making sense of what you're feeling. So if all you have is I'm mad, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm anxious, or I'm fine, your brain is literally working with a crayon box with 5 colors in it. Not even the full rainbow, y'all. And it's going to keep constructing the same few experiences over and over and over, no matter what's actually happening. But if you can say, hey, I feel defensive because I care about what is being questioned. And underneath that defensiveness, there's a real fear that my past decisions might not have been based on the full picture. And I'm really nervous about how I'm going to be perceived and how I view myself. And I don't want to look dumb or incompetent. Now, your brain has a lot of stuff to work with. And being specific and having a lot of stuff to work with means that your brain is flexible. The third one is mental model awareness. Now, this is the layer underneath. So what belief is being challenged? What framework are you using to interpret the situation? When someone in those comments says, hey, my experience tells me trauma is stored in the body, they're not reporting a fact about biology. They're literally just reporting a particular mental model that's been very, very useful for them. But useful and scientifically precise are two different things. And being able to see the model as a model instead of as truth is what gives you the ability to update it without feeling like you're losing a part of your identity or need to be in shame or any of that fun stuff. So, when you can do these three things, you can notice your body signal, name the experience with precision, and identify the mental model driving that reaction. You don't have to defend or shut down anymore. You can actually just sit with the new information and you can hold two things at once. You can hold that this is a framework that helped me. And you can also hold that there may be more precise information and a better explanation that can help me enhance my view again. That is flexibility. And that is what this research paper calls metastability, which was the entire point of their paper. So let's go into the section of the video where I talk about why I give a fuck about this. So I built a tool called color mending because I was a person who couldn't do any of these three things. Surprise, surprise. I could not tell you what I was feeling in my body beyond bad, mad, sad, anxious, and I couldn't name my emotions with any precision. I actually had no idea what mental models were, let alone what mental models were running in the background and running the show. I had no idea how me growing up in a high demand religion, in the family that I grew up in the community that I grew up in, with the media that I was consuming, how any of that shaped my emotional reactions. I would hand my inner world to someone else and ask them to explain it to me every single time. I felt overwhelmed, confused, and just had no idea what was going on. In an effort of wanting to find a tool to help me understand myself and my inner world and my brain better, I created this tool, which literally uses coloring as a way to start in your body with the sensation and externalize it before the analytical mind hijacks the process. You literally color out how you feel. Here's one of the colorings that I did earlier this week. And then you interpret what's there using proprietary charts in the step-by-step guide. And through that process, you start building all three of these skills: interoception, granularity, and mental model awareness. Let me give it to you straight, y'all. Color mending is not therapy. It is definitely not a replacement for professional support. It is literally just a skill building tool for people who feel overwhelmed, confused, or completely disoriented when they try to make sense of their inner world for themselves, and who are literally tired of needing someone else to make sense of their inner world for them. So if you take nothing else from this video, the next time that you read something and you feel your chest tighten and your face get hot and you start typing away, please pause. View the reaction as information, not proof that the thing you read is wrong, information about what mental model just got challenged and what your brain is predicting it means. You can sit with that information, y'all. That's something that I've been working on since I started building color mending 6 years ago. And heck, I'm still doing that. Just being able to sit and hold two truths at once is such an amazing, life-changing skill. And if you're interested in learning how to use coloring to develop that flexible thinking and that skill, you're in the right place. I have a program called The Coloring Bet. Literally teaches people how to guide themselves through color mending session in 21 days. If that's something that you're interested in, there's a link in the description. Thanks so much for watching this, and let me know if there's anything that resonated with you after watching this. Thanks for taking the time to listen. We'll see you around. Bye, y'all.